If you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatterspodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids. When it came to me after so long, I didn't have no choices in the streets where I was from. When I think about the pain, I didn't have no choices. I took what I had sworn. Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids. But you know, they wouldn't let you have it any other way.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters. It is the fans forum, and as always, we are here to get your views in the chat and the lads' views on the match that we've just had at the weekend. Newcastle United in a 7-goal thriller, or a 7-goal nail biter. We'll find out, I'm sure, from the lads as they let us into their views on the game. Start as always with George. Good evening, George. Give us your views on that match yesterday.
Well, awful in many ways. 3 points is 3 points. I did predict 4-3 score, I think, on the Amigos on Friday night. So something good did happen. But after that, where do you start? Dreadful first 20 minutes again, like we've had elsewhere, like we did at Manchester City, like we did at Nottingham when we played down there, and other places. In fact, the first 20 minutes was the Eminem show. The Murphy and Miley show, because they were absolutely dreadful. I mean, within minutes, we got a throw in like we did at Manchester. And what happened? It was in the back of our net before we did anything, and it was our throw in. Now, I just said to the lads before, when I saw Hall throw the ball over Murphy's shoulder and Murphy turned the road, I thought, oh, they've got a system. Or a system. It was a system that just made him play into trouble, and the ball was in the back of the net before he could look. It was so bad, and Pope's attempt to get it wasn't very clever either. So the first 20 minutes was an absolute washout. That Nottingham went in front was no surprise. I mean, young Anderson was conducting the midfield like an orchestral conductor, pointing to the others where to go, what to do, and all the rest of it. And Lewis Miley was just off the pace in every sense of the word, missing tackles. Some awful passes, dreadful passes. And then suddenly when we get into the game, there's a patch of 10 minutes when you see the weakness of Nottingham Forest. Once they go behind, you looked at them, the back four, their heads were on their boots. You could see the body language they were down. And you could see it was inevitable we would get more than one goal. And we did. We took advantage of that. But that purple patch of 15 minutes or so was it. Once that disappeared, then we went in at half time, and one of those games where you wish half time hadn't come because we were on top. And I don't know what he puts in the tea at half time or what he says to them at half time, but what came out in the second half was just absolutely awful. I was just grateful we ended 4-3, because it's gone on much longer. I think it could have been 4-4. Or even worse. That's how bad we were playing. And right down the team, you could pick performances which were worrying. there were lots of Dan Burns' game, which was good. He's striding forward, was putting them under pressure, and some of his headed clearances. But his short passing was suicidal, absolutely suicidal in his own penalty area. And what the devil he was doing. And Shah was only marginally better. So Darren said before, there was one or two times that Pope could have come and got the ball, and he really didn't. Punched it a couple of times when he could easily have caught it. So there was stuff to be worried about right across the team. And while we're on the goalkeepers, if you looked at their goalkeeper, you could see why we got rid of him years ago, Matt Sells, because he couldn't catch a bloody cold. And his defenders weren't confident enough to let him get the ball. They were heading it out for corners rather than let it go through to him. So, but as far as Newcastle's concerned, the highlight for me was one player and one player only. That's Lewis Hall. He was against the fastest, the trickiest player in their team, and the kid never got a kick. And Lewis still had time to go forward and support Gordon and attack and put some good crosses in. It was great. But second half, wow. I'm trying to think. Second half, towards the last 10 minutes, Nottingham Forest had 3 headers at our goal. Not a defender anywhere near, not a goalkeeper challenging. And in a normal game, I would have expected them to go in the back of the net. Certainly, if it had been us, I would have thought Isaac would have got a hat-trick out of them. It was so clear-cut, and yet they went past the post and over the bar. We really were skating on thin ice. So I'm going to change me nom de plume from one-eyed naval architect to confuse Newcastle, because after Saturday, come home with a 4-3 win, and I was felt worse. It was almost like I'd been to a defeat that was so bad. They were absolutely awful. As I say, that purple patch we took advantage of, and all praise to them for doing that. But that was as much to do with how bad they were as it was how good we were. And it's clearly that's how the people get it. Nottingham Forest. People have noticed that when they go down, the heads go down at the back, and you pile it on then. So the win was all that mattered really, because if we'd lost on yesterday, that knocked so many things on the head. The fact that we got 3 points, I do love Fabian Shaw. Somebody's saying I thought I loved him. He's a good footballer, but he wasn't a good footballer yesterday. I'm sorry, I can't say what's good when I can say it isn't good. Just like I can't say Jacob Murphy was good yesterday because he wasn't. There was so much about it yesterday. Rather than being euphoric about a victory, which was so important. I mean, it was the things that fell if that game had fallen were monumental. I mean, they would have been out of sight. So would other teams above were. And others behind would have been catching up, etc., etc. So it was an important win, and I'm glad we got it. But gosh, it was hard work and hard watching. I tell you, I've never seen a game so hard to watch, a victory rather, so hard to watch as that was.
Yeah, you're rubbing your chin, Darren. Some people think that means you completely disagree with what George says. I mean, I gave my view last night for about an hour after the game, and you know what? To be honest, it was just a Jekyll and Hyde game. I think Mark Douglas was the one who used that kind of phrase online. You know, that we saw Newcastle season all in one game. Darren, how did you see it?
I'd actually agree with George with the colour. But I think Lewis Hall was man of the match, outstanding. And the first 25 minutes were dreadful. We give the first George going to put high ends, and for once I actually agree with George. Murphy asks for the ball and he gives it to them, and they score a goal. And Nick Pope is out of position, so he must have been watching the game because he's towards his left. He wasn't in the middle of the goal; he was on the left. Yeah. And he's like, he put him in to control. He come for crosses and all that. But I think the second or the third goal, he punched it over, but he could have quite easily caught it. And that goal, the near score from that. So I'm sorry, Nick Pope. Even when he gets the ball, Steve, you know, everybody's like, "Oh, we don't trust him," and he's too slow when he does anything. He's like slow motion. And my mate Jacob Murphy just confirms how rubbish he actually is. Yes, he scored a goal, but he's absolutely shit. Sorry, boys, but he is. He's just he passing was dreadful. But we need and I keep going on, but he was. I was like, dreadful. Dan Burn again. I can't wait to get Bottom back badly because we need him back because he needs to be dropped. He so much wants to grab a player, so just mark it and tackle. He doesn't want to head on his own box. So it's getting become a joke now. Which we can be out down Burn is out of position instead of just defending. He's just doing stupid things, and like I think he's done. Honestly, yes, he's got another year, but he's a liability at the minute. Dan Burn, we need to get things back. You know what I mean? So it's a bit annoying, but this year we've got 3 points. That's the most important thing. But
I'll play devil's advocate on Murphy. I mean, I don't think Murphy had as bad a game as you're making out. I mean, he scored an important goal. He scored an important goal.
I think his passing was dreadful yesterday, honestly.
You could pick 5 or 6. You could easily pick 5 or 6 players out of that team who hit at least 2 or more wayward passes.
Bruno wasn't captain, was he? Bruno not captain. He wasn't. You need a captain to grab the players by the skin of their throats and bollock them. And Bruno couldn't do it, could he?
No. And as for Dan Burn, I would say yesterday, you know, he didn't have the worst game. He didn't have the best game. But, you know, I don't think anybody came out of that period in the second half with any praise.
Ball Lewis Hall, I would say, was only who had a man of match. I thought he's just getting better and better.
Even Miley, who had a really good first half, hit a few wayward passes in the second half, and they're going straight to their players, which Darren's fell over. He's that annoyed he's fell over. We'll move on to Barry, who's
Murphy's photograph.
Go on, Barry. You were
like a storm out.
You were full of hell last night, Barry. Have you calmed down?
Nah, I agree with George. I thought spells in the first half weren't very good. Then we had that amazing 4-goal in 12 minutes or 11 minutes, what it was, which was absolute class. I don't know what House said to them at half time because they completely took their foot off the gas. They were absolutely shocking second half. For me, I wanted them to go for it. Put Forest to the sword. Like George said, Forest's heads were down first half. They looked like a beaten team, which they were. We could have gotten 5, 6, 7 had we turned up in the second half, Steve. We were absolutely terrible. And I know a lot of people are saying in the chat, you know, it's 3 points, we've still won. My concern is we do that against the Scousers, whether that's the away game in the league or we do it in the cup final, they will kick our arse from one end of the pitch to the other because we cannot afford Eddie to get it so wrong yet again in his tactics because they will punish us badly. Forest were a shadow of the team that they've been in previous games. You know, they made us look really, really good. They're forward players. Yes, I totally agree. Hall played out his skin. He was the best player by an absolute mile. But just in general, Forest didn't look anything like the team that they've been this season. They don't get to where they are in the league with playing like that every game. That was an off game. Their keeper was, like the guys have said, was absolutely shocking. I have to give credit to Isaac, man. What a cool git he is when he took that penalty and tried to lob the goalkeeper. I've watched it back 6 times this morning and just think, what a player. Just to have the arrogance or the confidence, I should say, to do that was just incredible. And I thought he's gonna get to this, and then to send the keeper into the back of the net with the ball was just amazing. I worry what's coming, Steve. I worry about the Liverpool games when we're still playing poorly. You know, we had spells where we looked really good, and then for the rest of the game, we were shocking. And I just think if this is right. That I totally agree with what the lads are saying. In respect to Pope, he shouldn't be in the team. Dubravka has done nothing wrong to be dropped. If Pope's getting played, one, because he's one of Eddie Howe's favourites, two, because Eddie wants him to play in the cup final. If that's the truth, that Eddie thinks he deserves a cup final, then Eddie wants a good shake of his head, because Dubravka's twice the keeper Pope is at the minute, just based on his distribution. The confidence that Dubravka gets the defence going. Somebody said it in the chat there. Shaw and Byrne look as though they're absolutely shitting themselves when Pope's got the ball and he's making clearances. They've got no confidence in him whatsoever. And it's affected the whole defence. I think Darren's right in one respect. Byrne had a poor game, but I think for me, it's Shaw that's the liability. Byrne's covering for Shaw most of the time because Shaw's just looks like a shadow of him. The sooner we get, I agree, the sooner we get Botman back, the better, because they're not working together at the minute. But it's one of those things. It's a victory. We've gone back up the league into the position we want to be at the end of the season. But I am seriously concerned for the Liverpool game. If we don't get our act together and stop messing about, which some of the players second half just looked as though they were trying to avoid whatever injuries, bookings, whatever. I've got serious concerns, but I don't know.
Okay, Pablo, 4-3. It must have been a great day for you to sit and watch that with your old man.
Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Just before we start on that, one of the funniest things I've heard, and to be fair, Trulls Argan's just pointed it out. One of Eddie Howe's post-match interviews suggested that Pope was excellent with his distribution. And at that point, I spit my tea out and I thought, I hope you don't mean with his feet, because I have no idea why that lad's in. Because if Eddie Howe thinks he's good at distributing, we all need to pack up and go home now. I don't know why. I don't know why Pope started, because like I said in our chat, Dub's not in any way to blame for what happened to Man City. Now, I could see that if he had made a mistake or two, you would roll the keeper to change it. But I think looking at the game from the outset, it's a bizarre fans forum tonight. We've beaten Nottingham Forest, who we all highlighted a couple of weeks ago was probably the sticky fixture out of these. And we've come away with a win. But looking at all our faces, it feels like we've had a pumping. It's a bizarre fans forum tonight. And we need to rename ourselves Rollercoaster United rather than Newcastle United, because it's just another spin in our roller coaster this year. We've not learned anything new by this Forest game as to what we've known all season. We can play in 10-minute spurts, 20-minute spurts. Some weeks we turn up, some weeks we don't. So it's just another notch on the bedpost for me yesterday, and a massive one. But I think looking at the game, I probably disagree with the lads on the top. I don't think we were that bad in the first half, as in I actually thought we had certainly after the mistake by Murphy, we really kind of reacted and picked it up, I thought. So I actually thought we had quite a positive first half as a whole and a really good purple patch, like you mentioned, 10, 15 minutes. So I think both sets of fans will feel conned by their teams, because Forest didn't turn up in the first half, which has allowed us that. We didn't turn up in the second half. So I think both clubs will be feeling a little bit dented today. Second half, I have absolutely no words, and I'm confused to hell as to what has gone on. I mean, have the players come out and not shown mental strength and kept up performance levels, or has Eddie Howe said to him at half time, let's retain the ball and let's save ourselves for Wednesday? Because I mean that is probably the worst that I've seen. Certainly us, the Premier League team, try and return a football in 45 minutes. I mean, yeah, Forest stepped it up, but again, I don't think they were amazing. So I think it was more our downfall than Forest stepping it. But I think I'm thankful the referee blew his whistle when he did, because I think if it had gone on another 10 minutes, we definitely might have been sat here with tears in our eyes. I think I can't understand what the hell Bruno is doing for that third goal of theirs, where he's jostling in the box. He's trying to have a little wrestle with Ryan Yates. Now that's fair enough, but then you've got to track Ryan Yates, and Ryan Yates goes and puts the ball in, and that gives us that tense 5 minutes. So I think there's been mistakes all over the pitch. You're right, lads. Hall was absolutely tremendous. Isaac was, very good. having said that, Barry, if he'd have tried that and would have come away with a draw, I'd have probably wanted to chin him. Fair play to him, he's we stuck it in the net. But I think on the whole, yes, absolutely gutted like you lads, the fact that we completely folded like a pack of cards. But subsequently, we got a win, and results at the weekend have gone in our favour. So it's put us still in the mix, which is, I think, probably the best we can hope for at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, that's more of a positive outlook, I think, certainly, Pablo. And I wasn't annoyed last night, but I can understand why people felt shattered, disillusioned, a bit disappointed. But as a lot of people have pointed out in the chat tonight, we actually won the game. We got 3 points. And I think the thing I agree with you most there is that, we did highlight that game a couple of weeks ago as probably a sticky game. We've took 6 points off Nottingham Forest, who are above us in the league and have been for the best part of the season. So I think a little bit of perspective needs to be drawn when you're talking about this. Alan, thoughts on the game at the weekend?
A lot of what Pablo said, I agree with. I didn't think we were that bad at all in the first half apart from the goal, because the facts showed on Sky, lads, the first 25 minutes, Forest didn't even get in our box once in the first half, in the first 25 minutes. So, yes, we might have passed the ball badly, George, but so must have Forest, because they didn't get in our box. So I agree with Pablo. Apart from the goal, I thought we were really, really good the first half. But lads, I was having a cup of tea at half time, and on my set team's biggest smile, wide as a Tyne. By the end of the game, I was like a Tasmanian devil, wishing the game was over. I was, when that 3 minutes signpost went up, I thought, Christ, Eddie Howe sent him a brown envelope, because most games are 7 or 8 minutes at the end, because it would have been 4 each. If we had another 5 minutes of that, I was just going absolutely crazy. Game of two halves, lads. Needless to say. Hall, like everybody's mentioned, was superb. I just was so disappointed. We just could not hold on to the ball at all. I wish we just could have that general in the middle. And although Tonali settled it down a little bit when he came on, Wilson had 2 opportunities to put the game to bed. One, I don't mind him, but the second one, he really should have been aware that Gordon was running on to score and put the game to bed. So he got, a lot of slating for that. But I don't blame the lad. He's rusty as hell. He didn't look up to speed. Young Lewis Miley, 18, again, fantastic. I would say, if you have to be critical, I thought he was very weak for the second goal going into the challenge. My heart was in the mouth when Yates went down at the last minute, wanting a penalty. Until I saw the replay, I thought it was a penalty, and then the lad pushed Gordon in the back for him to fall over. So I was so relieved. I've never been so relieved of a 4-3 win, but I agree with you, Steve. We've got to put in perspective, because that was an absolute massive win. Because Chelsea, unfortunately, lads, have got Leicester and Southampton next, and we've got Liverpool, and then we've got the FA Cup. So you can expect Chelsea getting 6 points. Aston Villa have got 3 hard, tough away games. Bournemouth have got decent fixtures, but they got beat off Wolves today. On Saturday. So there's 7 teams there that can realistically believe they could get Champions League football, lads. And if you speak to Arsenal fans, some of them don't even think they're going to make top 4, and they're still quite far ahead of us. So all in all, if anybody had said to me, second team, third team, fourth team, fifth team, sixth team in the league would get beat and we would win, and I would feel like that after the end of a game, I wouldn't have believed them. But lads, Liverpool, we'll leave it there. Liverpool, they're so efficient. I'll let Magnus get on, but overall, great result. Put in perspective, lads, great result. Game of two halves, and roll on Liverpool.
Okay, Magnus, how did you see the game?
Yeah, it was a day and night, first half and second half for me. I mean, the shining lights were obviously, and that was Lewis Hall, and I'm very proud of Lewis Miley stepping in. We've been calling for him to be the next one in line in the starting lineup, so very proud of him. He was all over the pitch, and he scored with his weaker foot, to start us off, and this moment changed the game. Isak, whatever he touches, seems to end up in the back of the net. So, congratulations to him to be the top Premier League Swede with 50 goals in the league. So, I'm sure he's pretty chuffed with that. He's only been there for 2 or 3 years. I think it's sensational if you compare him to guys like Freddie Ljungberg and other great Swedes that have been in the game. Second half, I mean, I don't know. This reminded me a little bit of Steve McLaren times. He always used to sing lullabies or put Celine Dion on in halftime. I don't know. We need to be putting Metallica or Prodigy or AC/DC. Something to wake them up, because we can't be having second half performances like this. We need to stay on the front foot all the way through. If the target was to hold the lead, then we didn't do a particularly good job of it. Probably my biggest worry is we don't have any centre backs to put on the pitch. There's obviously Emil Kraft can do a shift, but down to the same problem as we are used to. We need more human resources. We need more guys that can put in a shift. But these three were the shining lights: Miley, Hall, and Isak. I mean, Tonali came in strong second half, but what worries me the most is I think Nick Pope needs to go on the bench again. But he did not look fully fit, or there's something not right. I think Dubravka has shown us enough to keep his place. His style of football just fits better for what we are trying to do at this moment with his distribution and in his feet. So okay, I must be happy about the 3 points. I mean, good to see that we can react even after going behind. And luckily it was enough this time, because second half was shambolic and I agree with the rest of the lads. We cannot have moments like that or chapters like that against Liverpool in the next battles that we are heading to.
Okay, Tom, last word on the Forest result, 4-3 to Newcastle.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of an old guy, been around for a while. In the 7 years that I've been following Newcastle United, if we were in fifth place at 44 points by mid-February, being a European spot, I'd be feeling pretty good any year, right? So I want to, the last 2 months, we've gotten 24 points, right? 24 of our 44 points were in the last 8 weeks. Over the weekend, 5 out of the 6 teams that were above us lost. We got 3 points, moving up to fifth in that European spot. As you mentioned, we got the 6-pointer against Forest this year, and we also beat them in the Cup. It's not all doom and gloom. I agree with the lads. The second half was awful. I didn't think Murphy had a good game, and I'm one of Murphy's biggest fans. Maybe only the guy above me is a bigger fan than I am with Murphy. But to say he's shite, Darren, how can you say that? He's got 6 goals, 9 assists this season. Ginobili never had that.
Sorry, but it's my opinion. He was shocking yesterday.
You certainly could have your opinion. I get that. But, Semenyo doesn't have that many assists. Palmer doesn't. Bruno Fernandes doesn't. De Bruyne doesn't. Madison doesn't. And he's doing the job as far as making and creating some goals. So Dan Burn, I think, has been our player of the season thus far. Maybe Tonali might take that over. But, so it hurts when I hear we all have our opinion. I respect yours, but I disagree with you. So I'm not all doom and gloom. I just want to put some perspective on all of this. I will agree 100% that Pope, I don't know what he was doing for that first goal. Darren was absolutely right. He was almost on the left goal post when that ball came in. He dove for it. It wasn't a cannon shot. He still missed it by 4 feet when it crossed the line. So I'm not sure what happened there. I think the communication between Shar and Byrne was a lot to be desired in the second half. And, maybe, human nature takes over that a lot of the lads were up 4-1. They decided, you know what, I'm not going to go in for that 50-50 tackle. I'm not going to do that little bit of extra. And some of those wayward passes were the fault of the receiver, not the passer, because I don't think they hustled enough. So like everybody, I was really disappointed. I thought that the 2 subs that came on, Tonali was good, but the other 2, Wilson and Barnes, were absolutely the worst 2 players on the pitch. The second half, I didn't think they did anything. Certainly not as good as the people they replaced. So I don't know. I'm going to look at it perspective. I'm going to have the perspective of what our season looks like. We're in 5th place, European spot. We got a tough match coming up. Eddie sets us up. I think that we could get something out of that match. So I'm not all doom and gloom.
Okay, good stuff. That's what it's all about. Opinions. We're going to have an ad break. We'll be back after this. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. Find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickies.co.uk, email info@mrvickies.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. A big thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. 2 crew, driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. All excursions included. Find them at their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email them at beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. A big thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. You can find them at their website, media-arts.co.uk. If you want to listen to us as a podcast, you can go to Sports Social Podcast Network. You can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, and your other podcast providers. If you want to help support the channel, hit the thumb up, which is the like button. Click share to share to your other social medias. Click join to join the channel. And click the subscribe button. We've also got links in our description for buy us a coffee and to be a Patreon member. Some events coming up. An afternoon with Sir Les Ferdinand, 6th of April, 12 till 4. Tickets available from ticketmaster.co.uk. No Covers takes place at the Clooney, Lilac Lane, Ryder and the Chris Norris Band. Tickets from theclooney.com or by telephone in 0191 230 4474. An evening with Steve Howie and Steve Watson, hosted by Joe Allen, takes place at the Tyneside Irish Centre on the 27th of June. Tickets for that are from newcastlelegends.com. An evening with Peter Beardsley and Chris Waddle takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House on the 23rd of January 2026. Box office 0844 246 1000 or website tynetheatreandoperahouse.tv. An evening with Bad Manners takes place on Friday the 30th of January 2026 and tickets available from ticketmaster.co.uk. And we have copies of The Entertainers 1992 to 1997, Kevin Keegan's Legacy, available from newcastlelegends.com. And don't forget the memberships are now back. You can get your pen, your pin badge, your keyring, your beer mat, your fridge magnet and your membership card You just need to go to nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk to become a lifetime member, and you can be part of that monthly draw, which starts again in March. Thanks to those who've joined us, including Tom, who will be picking his up when he's over in the UK in March. Looking forward to seeing you then, Tom. Okay, let's look ahead to the Liverpool game, which is, of course, this Wednesday at Anfield. Not a happy hunting ground over the years, Anfield, for Newcastle United, no matter who has been wearing the black and white shirt. It's a bizarre kickoff time, 8:15, live on TNT Sports. 3,000 tickets were given to us for the away end, and of course, they have sold out. Eddie Howe's press conference will take place tomorrow, so we will get some kind of update, I'm sure, from Eddie and who is fit and who isn't. As for Liverpool, we know Joe Gomez and Connor Bradley will both miss the game. Ahead of our visit, Arnie Slot's side won at Manchester City on Sunday by 2-0. That puts them 11 points clear at the top of the table. Liverpool have now just lost once in 27 Premier League games so far this season. That was a 1-0 home defeat by Nottingham Forest. And of course, we beat them at the weekend. So naturally, that means that because we beat Nottingham Forest, we can beat Liverpool as well. That game was also the last time the Reds failed to find the net in the Premier League. The referee, is it a good one? Is it a bad one? Well, it's Chris Kavanagh. It's his 4th Toon game of the season. He's a Manchester-based referee, of course. He took charge of the 2-1 Premier League victory at Wolves, the 2-0 Carabao Cup home win against Chelsea, and the 2-1 Premier League loss to Fulham at St James's Park. VAR, another new name to me, Matthew Donoghue. We seem to be getting a few new names in the VAR room, so he will be in charge. Let's just hope he doesn't flag Isaac's shadow off at the weekend. Okay, then, George, coming to you now. What would you like to see team-wise on Wednesday? I tell you where I'm going, George, with this. I'd love them to play all the players that's got no chance of playing the cup final, and just tell them to kick 7 bags of you know what out of Liverpool. In particular, Salah and Van Dijk. And I'm not asking them to injure these players. I'm just trying to put them out of the equation, maybe for a few weeks' time, George. That's all I'll be looking at.
What you've just relayed is what Joe Harvey used to say to the team in the 50s, the ones that won the cup. I mean, Bobby Mitchell sometimes got a kick in because he was a dribbler, and the fullbacks used to kick him all over. And Joe Harvey would swap places with Bobby Mitchell for 10 minutes, and the fullback just disappeared. So we can have some of that. Yes, please. You've mentioned some things. There is an important thing in the Forest game. It shows they are beatable, and Forest didn't play a poor team. It was the team that we did beat yesterday. And so if they can have an off day like we sometimes have days, well, why can't we make them have an off day on Wednesday? What I'd hope is that they have got rid of their shadow box so that Isaac Shadow doesn't lose the goal again like he did the last time we're there. Also, that the referee and they have been read the boxing rules for Van Dijk's shoulder charges and elbows and whatever else he uses at the moment. If we get that, we've got a fighting chance. What I'd like to see him set up like we did against Arsenal and do exactly this, frustrate them exactly the same way as we did Arsenal when we played at the Etihad. And I don't think we'd go very far wrong if we did that, because I hate to keep saying it. If the right Newcastle turns up, if the right brain turns up, we can beat whoever they put in front of us. And that's what I'm looking for. And as I say, if he sets them up like he did against Arsenal, both home and away, but particularly away, when we were not deemed not to have a cat and hell chance to get anything out of that game, but we did. So if he sets them up that way, I'm confident that we could get something out of that game. And yes, they got. I mean, they didn't just beat City yesterday. They really did take City to the cleaners, in my view. It wasn't just a win. It was superb. it was beautiful football to watch, but not if you're on the receiving end, of course. So we've got to find a way, and for me, my way would be the way we frustrated Arsenal twice. That setup seems to work for her. The lads seem to feel it and enjoy it, and we've got the backtrackers like Gordon and hate to say the name again, Murphy, who actually can support what's happening. And I was hacked off with Jacob yesterday, but if his stats don't lie, as Tom's pointed out, but he is a hard worker in the team, let's have a go, but in the fashion in which we're frustrated Arsenal, that'll do me. And I'm confident that if we do that, we'll get something out of the game and give them something to think about for when we go to Wembley.
Steve says, have you ever predicted a defeat, George?
Not in living memory. I've only been watching since 1944, man. For God's sake, give us a chance.
So what prediction are you going to give us, George, for the Liverpool game?
Oh, it's a 1-1 for me.
A 1-1. Okay. Darren, what are you going to change, Darren? What are you going to change? And, how confident are you feeling? What's your prediction?
I don't feel confident tomorrow for Wednesday at all. I'll change. Hopefully, I'll bring Tonali back. I'll play Bruno. I'll drop Murphy 100%. Bring Barnes in. If Bottom was fit, I'll bring Bottom back for Dan Burn. Ideal, I'll take a draw on Wednesday, but I kind of say I reckon Liverpool. I'd rather lose against Liverpool than win the final. So that's as long as we give a good show on ourselves, as long as we kind of show what we're about, give a competitive game. That's what I'm after. If we get beat, we get by giving a performance. I'm hoping for a 1-1, but that's a couple of mile off. If they score the first goal in 10 minutes, it's going to be worrying for Newcastle.
All right. So prediction then? You
1-1, Steve. 1-1. I'll go.
You
Go
go
on,
for
1-1, but that's a wish. That's my wish.
All right. Okay. Barry, what would you change?
I'll drop Pope. I'll bring Dubravka back in. I think we need his ability to get the team moving quicker, get the ball up the pitch a lot quicker, and just in general, the defense looks a lot more comfortable with him in the team. I think Darren's right. I think if Tonali hopefully he's a little bit fitter than he was for the Forest game, I would have Tonali back in the team. To be honest, it's going to sound awful. I think Bruno's been off form for quite a while. I don't think he's playing particularly well. I think I'm not saying he's been really bad just by his high standards. I don't think he's been right for a while. He does look a much better player when Tonali's playing, but so I would bring Tonali in if he's fit, but obviously I wouldn't. It's that thing, isn't it? I mean, everybody's going to expect us to get beat off them anyway. So it's one of those games where I totally agree with Darren. As long as we put the effort in and we show a decent thing of ourselves, I'll be happy. I mean, bless her, Mozza's just said in the chat she'll not turn up on the show next week if we get beat because we'll all be whinging. As long as we put the effort in, if we get beat, we get beat. They're the best team in the country by an absolute mile. But I totally agree with what George says. On our day, if the right Newcastle turns up, we can turn over anybody. You know, look at what we did to PSG. Look at what we've done to Arsenal. We can do it. It's going to be really hard, especially down there, because it's almost our biggest bogey ground now in the Premier League. I think we're gonna struggle. Confidence-wise, I hope we get a draw out of it. I would love to see us get something else, but the way we're playing at the minute, unless Eddie Howe pulls an absolute blinder, I can't see us winning down there. So I'll be the same, Steve. I'll go 2-2 draw.
Okay, 3 draws on the top line. Where we're going to go on the bottom. What changes would you make, Pablo? First and foremost, would you go for a weakened team? Would you go for, because this is the catch-22 situation, isn't it? You go in with your strongest team. You're showing your hand, aren't you, before the cup final? But Janos put a suggestion in: Pope, Tino, Kraft, Botman, Target, Miley, Tonali, Hall, Murphy, Isaac, Gordon. I mean, that's pretty strong team. I mean, is that what you do? Do you go in and stamp your authority at Anfield? And what's your feelings?
I think being realistic, no, we're not going to go to Anfield and stamp any authority because, you know, many teams have tried and many teams have failed and they have got their tails in the air. I think regards when we talk about a weakened side, I mean, the lads have mentioned the obvious choices to bring back would be obviously Pope would be out of goal, your Botmans, your Tonalis. But then if you go and risk them and they're not fully fit on Wednesday, we're then cutting our nose off to spite our face because we will rely on them in the cup final and the games coming up. So I think I'd never advocate fielding weaker teams, but I think you've got to have the long game in view. And we haven't got a squad that can cope with, you know, making 2 or 3 changes or losing 2 or 3. So I think there is a certain element that I would give other players probably a bash, i.e. your Emil Kraft. I would go with Dubravka in net because, you know, at the end of the day, he's a goalkeeper. And I think what I'm after on Wednesday, if you're asking me my honest answer, no, I don't think we're going to go there and win. Of course, I want us to. But what I don't want to see is what happened when I went to see him at Man City, where we just completely didn't lay a glove on him. You know, I can take a defeat. I can certainly take a defeat off Liverpool with what they've got, you know, with their firepower and the team and the form. But what I can't accept is what happened at Man City. So, yes, I would make some changes. Would I risk people like Tonali and Botman just for the sake of a league game away at Anfield? Then the answer is probably no. But just to mirror what you said before, Steve, about your theory about Forest beating Liverpool. And, well, we got slapped by City and Liverpool slapped City. So anything under 10-0 to me is a win.
So what have you gone for prediction-wise?
I'm going to say 1-1.
Oh, he's gone for a draw as well. Okay, Alan, what would you change first, mate?
Not much really, like Steve. I mean, the obvious one is what the lads have said. If they were fit, I would love Joe Linton to be in there. I think he gives me a different dimension if Joe Linton was fit. Botman as well. I think I honestly want them for at least the Brighton game to get some sort of match fitness, to have any chance of the final, to be up to speed, really, Steve. I mean, we are playing the champions elect. Everybody on this panel and the chat must know Liverpool are, unless a miracle happens, going to be the champions at the end of the year. They are, like Pablo says, the best team in this league by for consistency, lads. They haven't been one of the best Liverpool teams I've ever seen either, but they're so consistent. And the firepower, like Pablo said, is just fantastic. And people say, oh, can Wilson and, you know, Isaac, can we afford another striker? They've got 4 or 5 strikers in their squad. We've got 5 or 6 keepers. And we're still trying to get another one through the door. For prediction, Steve, I said last week, I thought we'd get beat off first. And we won 4-3. So I'm over the moon about that. So I got that one wrong. But I did say 4-1. To Liverpool, I'm just hoping, like Pablo says, we don't embarrass ourselves. So many times we've scored first at Anfield and you think, yeah, we're going to win. And then they just steamroll in the last 20 minutes and it ends up 3-4, 5-1. I just hope we don't embarrass ourselves. And I just hope we don't embarrass ourselves at Wembley, which I'm dreading, to be honest. But if we get beat 2-1, I'll be really happy. And if fighting 2-1 at that, there we go.
Okay, Magnus, what would you change on the trip to Anfield on Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, I feel similar to the guys. You know, I want to see Dubravka back on the team. That's for obvious reasons. He's quicker. He's been showing good performances. You know, our centre backs. I didn't mind the idea of getting Botman and Kraft in, but we don't know about how fit Botman is as of yet. So other than that, I mean, I think Shar didn't do himself any favors. So I would like to see Emil Kraft on the team. He hasn't done any mistakes, and regardless of if they go to 5-4-1 or 4-3-3. I mean, for me, it was a clear sign. I mean, Miley coming in for Tonali in the starting lineup and not being substituted off in second half tells me he's doing a good job. And obviously, I saw the game, and I think he should be at the top of the pecking order alongside Bruno and Tonali. So if they are both fit, for me, that's an automatic midfield. With regards to the front line, I'm not sure this is going to be popular. I know Darren said Harvey Barnes up on the top right. I would like to see William Osula get a chance. Maybe not from the start, but definitely as a substitute. I think it did a good job in 2 cup games that he came on, and I would like to see him because Liverpool don't know him really well, and it might be a little bit of a secret weapon we can use. You know, I'd like to see him get definitely some minutes rather than to put Barnes on for Jacob Murphy. Jacob Murphy, even with a knee sliding goal, did not have a great performance, and he also cost us a goal. And okay, he definitely has had better games, and he has had a good season. But I'd like to see us mix it up a little bit. And I want us to take the game to them, you know. Front foot, man, and no nonsense, man. You know, we often when we are playing games that we've been written off beforehand, this is the time to step up, you know, and we often do so. I am optimistic for this game. I think it's going to be a thriller. Last game was a thriller at St. James's Park. I'm saying 4-3. No nonsense. Do the tune, man. Take it. We need the revenge from. Remember Stan Collymore goals. You know, let's take it back to them, man. Show them hell. Bring the trouble to them. Show them what we're all made of.
Well said, Magnus. Well said.
Go on, Magnus. Tom, how do you follow that?
Well, I agree a lot with George said. I usually agree with George. I think you need to drop 3 players. That would be Dubs. That would be Willock, and that would be Miley. And you bring in, go to 5-4-1. You're bringing in Kraft. You're bringing in Tonali. I think a 5-4-1 is the way to go. Play on the counter. Very much a similar setup that we did against Arsenal. I also would drop Pope and bring in Dubs. I agree with everybody on that. Pope didn't fill me with a lot of confidence. I think if you stop them from going through Salah, all their offense goes through Salah or goes through their wingers one way or another. So if you have 5 at the back and you double up on their wingers, make them try to score and beat you in the middle of the pitch, that's the way to do it. I don't know if Eddie will do that. He seems to be in love with the 4-3-3, but I think we actually play better when we play a 5-4-1, where those midfielders go forward and the wing backs can go forward. So I play counter ball. I stop them from scoring. If we stop them from scoring, we're in the match, period. So I play, I use our speed. We have plenty of pace up front, and I play counterattacking ball. And if we do that, if we could stop them from scoring, as Alan said, if Joe Linton was in there, I would just have him just boss Salah around and just push him around, just make him know that he's in a match, because if it doesn't go through him, they're a much weaker side. So if he's not available, that's a little bit more problematic, right? So I don't know who we would do there, but I think we would have to put Tonali and Bruno in the middle, Gordon on the one side, and tell him that he's really going to have to help defend, and then Murphy on the other side.
Okay, Tom, give us
all that said, I'm going with a 0-1 loss. I'm the one that's going to be negative on here, only because we're not playing against.
I'm the negative one.
I'm not playing against 11 Liverpool players. I'm playing against 11 Liverpool players, a referee, and VAR that always seems to go against us at Anfield. So our 11 against their 13, I can't see us winning the match.
Always a penalty, right? Always a VAR penalty, right?
Always. You know Salah's going to score on a penalty. It always happens. So I think the fix is in.
Action-packed fans forum tonight. Thanks to everybody in the chat, as always. Thanks to Tom, Magnus, Alan, Pablo, Barry, Darren, and George. I'm back tomorrow night.
Good to see you, lads. Good to see you all.
Sid, and Rob back at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Gibbo will be on Wednesday morning. That will be at 11 o'clock on Wednesday morning, just so everybody knows that. So thanks for watching. See you tomorrow night. Take care.
Cheers, boys. Bye.
Take care, lads.
Take care, guys.